only my mother had told me what the teacher had said to her. He said, listen, your son's a great singer. As a teacher, it's so plain to see I could have sung in the chorus, learning my childhood melody.
I'm David Ford, and this is Triad Arts Weekend. The Healing Blues Project invites folks experiencing things such as homelessness, post-traumatic stress disorder, or abuse to share a story about the challenges they face with a participating songwriter. The songwriter collaborates with the storyteller in writing and performing their song for a fascinating new recording. The Healing Blues CD memorializes the personal struggles of nearly a dozen participants in living music. It's an interdisciplinary collaboration between pianist, composer, and Greensboro College Associate Professor of Music Dave Fox, cross-disciplinary artist Ted Efremoff, and art students Julia Fergus and Gabrielle Harbin. Also involved in the project are the Interactive Resource Center, a day resource center for people experiencing homelessness, and Greensboro area songwriters and storytellers.
To me, the IRC got like a heart compared to a lot of places that's just buildings and structures. It's a consciousness in it because a lot of people in there have experienced homelessness and they know what it is.
Well, I'm into social practice art. So to me, what that means is engaging communities, working with people, possibly, hopefully changing perceptions of marginalized people, things of that nature. So when the call for the project went out, it said, we'd like you to do installations in window spaces about the blues. I guess my take on it was who here in Greensboro is experiencing the blues and how do I engage those people? And so blues musicians get together with people experiencing homelessness and then talk about their life stories and create songs together collaboratively. And then this idea of cafes, blues cafes came to me, like, you know, a space where people get together, they meet each other, they tell each other, stories, and then songs are created out of that, and then maybe possibly performed there as well.
So that's when I kind of wrote a little proposal for the project, and then I got in touch with Dave Fox, and Dave said, I love the idea.
And he said, and by the way, I know just about every blues musician around here.
I handled pretty much all the musical end. I got the storytellers together, and I arranged meetings with the storytellers and the blues musicians, and then I produced the record. 3 storytellers, 1, 2, 3. So how do y'all want to team up? You want to songwriters want to pick a storyteller, storytellers want to pick a songwriter, or what?
This is a way I can kind of do something unselfish to kind of maybe give back to the community, and that's kind of what I saw my role as, to get all these other great blues musicians that I've gotten to know over the past few years in Greensboro and Winston-Salem, give them the same opportunity. So I'd call people up and they would say, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then they'd come out for the first session, they'd meet a storyteller, and they were just having a blast doing it.
So Dave called me probably, I want to say June of this past summer, maybe it was July, and asked me to come down to the IRC, which I didn't know about, and meet someone who's homeless and take their story and write a song. Sounded like a great idea.
I got roped into this because I got an email from Dave, the Martian we have here, asking me, by the way, do you and John write? Do you write songs? I'm like, yeah, we both do. So now I'm excited about being a part of it from the inside. And I'm working with Chris Schumacher, who has written about 3 pages of her experience, and I got to read it earlier this week.
was partnered with a young man. He was around, I think he was in his late 20s. His name is Isham Wardlow. And I said, Isham, do you play music? And he said, no. And I said, do you sing? And he said, no. He said, but I write. And I said, well, okay. Would you care to share, some of the things that you've written? So he, they weren't in any form. He just did kind of free hand prose. Sometimes my voice isn't strong enough to share how I really feel, so I write. Sometimes I feel invisible, but my words prove I exist, so I write. There are good days, there are bad days, I remind myself to pray. My words are like an anchor that won't let me slip away, so I write. And even though it was born out of Isham's words, it completely related to me. I mean, it was like, we both have this common thread of why we write. Cool. And it was just the neatest thing to discover that.
So I just feel like my art and my ideas can be used as a service to people in a situation that I'm coming out of. I feel like that I was placed in that position for a reason, and now I've experienced it and I know some of the nuances of being homeless.
I'm Mike, I'm a retired Marine, and I've got a story to tell. Okay.
And he proceeded to give me a story, which was a long, brutal account of his time in the Marines. Mike said he was born in a place I'd never heard of, the Bitterroot Valley of Montana. Said as a kid he was mesmerized by war films, a story of Audie Murphy, American heroes. He decided he wanted to be a hero. Asked him how long he was in Bosnia. He said a couple, 3 years. I said, now when did you rotate back? He said, I never rotated back to the States. I said, what do you mean you never rotated back? He said, I stayed out for 16 years. I said, what the hell? They can't leave you over there for 16 years. He said, they couldn't then. I said, they didn't have enough troops to do what was being done. He said, and after 9/11, he said, you didn't have any trouble getting a job anywhere. You never had. Sniper's trade, learn to shoot men dead. But the warrior's craft comes with a cost. All must pay the toll. You can't live free if you're living lost. You can't find a home without a soul. Help me, Jesus, got a fire in my brain, drowning in the
bloody rain. The things I've seen, the things I've done, got me living on the run. Don't leave me here all alone. Don't let this bitter room be my home.
My name is Mike Wesolowski. They call me Wezo, short for Wesolowski. Well, I wrote a song for a woman named Anita, and Anita was really, really cool.
Yes,
Okay.
also wrote for group poems.
And she made it easy for me because she had already had one of her poems published in the local paper, and so she already did the work for me. And I told her I was either going to do a blues song or I was going to do a gospel song. And that was my goal. And I thought about it, and about a month or two down the road, I'm still toying with it and having a hard time getting it. And then all of a sudden one day I picked up my guitar and bam, there it was. I come from a place where there's family and love. I hold on to my faith that there's help from above. I've seen good times and bad. I've been out on the street. I hold my head up high, somehow land on my feet. I come from a place of life. Some things have changed, but I never wonder why. God, when I first met her a year before, she had already had 16 operations within about 3 years, and all sorts of heart problems, and I mean, just anything you can imagine. And the day I met her, she said, I have to apologize because I have to be in Durham in an hour for my next surgery. And so she was apologizing for having to leave early the day we met to go have surgery. And she, that's just how she was. And so anyway, when I saw her that day, which I thought was going to be the last day she was going to be alive, I got to say my goodbyes, and I cried a lot. And she cried, and we were hugging, and I was bawling like a baby. And she said, "You know what, honey? Everything's going to be okay." And it was a very humbling moment. So.
Thanks, man.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No. Do it again.
Do the intro thing. Is walk.
There we go.
Walk. Yeah, just come down and walk.
give to the Healing Blues Project? It helps the IRC and the local community.
It's our lifeline. It's somewhere to get warm and get your mind together. Like, okay, what's next? It's hard to sit on the bench cold and figure out what you're gonna do because you're too cold.
The IRC is an innovative day center serving people experiencing homelessness and at risk of becoming homeless. So everything from really fundamental things like showers and laundry and phones and mail to really more detailed, holistic kind of things.
Whether that is looking for employment, whether that's continuing your education through the classes that are offered here, whether that is looking for housing or maybe working with an attorney to get your disability pay if you aren't able to work, but something that is going to give a person the ability to take care of themselves. We have a lot of arts programming, and it's not just fluff.
Writers, workshops, we have a homeless arts collective, we do a street newspaper that was born from the IRC, so really anything that addresses kind of the whole person who may be experiencing homelessness is part of the services we provide.
And they was talking about all of these different opportunities that they had available. The motivational class, that really sparked my attention because I was into the motivational speaking type thing. And so I said, wow, that sounds good, It was coming in and it was talking positive, And I was looking at this and, the staff was like, really gung-ho about, getting involved in doing these things. And I was like, wow. The experts never told me about this, And from that moment on, I kept going to the IRC, and I kept going especially to the motivational class. And I began to realize within myself, I had a lot of positive, energy that I could share with people.
And then they asked you to do it when you got to Grace Community Church and you spoke again.
Right. So I had to get up on stage, and boy, it was about maybe 200-300 people looking eyeballing me, and I'm like, what am I gonna say?
Oh, you spoke so beautifully from the heart. And then I've actually dragooned you a couple more times into talking to people, right?
Yes, and I've been speaking ever since. I think I changed my mind. I'm really excited to be here tonight because this building really means a lot to me. As I explained it in my documentary, walkerswalk.org. I remember when I came here with my mother. She used to walk us up here. I was born and raised down here in Cumberland Court. And I was holding my mother's hand. We walked into the front door and you could smell the popcorn, the hot dogs, and candy and cookies and stuff, Great memories. And somehow I kind of lost my mother, and I reached up, to grab her hand, and my hand went right up the skirt of a white woman. And I didn't know much about segregation then, or what's the word? Racism. But I knew there was a problem between me and people of lighter skin. And I was told right there, you can go to jail for that. I'm like, oh, I'm a 5-year-old kid. I'm like, why?
Granddaddy said, on the mountain, nothing. Put down those brushes for me, go and do something. Took his spirit, broke it like a stick. Living in the shadows, cold, dark and thick. All around him, people calling names. Black boy, baked lips, dishing out the pain. Walter's wrong, it's Walter's fault.
Shannon was very quiet at first. And we went to another room, we sat down, we started talking. And that was just so neat because once he opened up, the things he told us were the exact type of things we wanted to know.
You say the blast in it. All the kids go around and say the Bible verse they learned, which that kept my spiritual side. I'm God, oh, but then, you know, when maybe say, hey, you better, that's God you're talking to, you better calm down a little bit. I think about all the people that, over all the foster homes, you know, I took something from his mom's and then took something from his family and took something positive from all the families.
We hope you like it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
I hit the streets at 10 years old. Go with your dad is what I was told. He lost our home, my path was clear. I was a walking man, you can't stay here. Halfway house, picture I'd be, all my daddy could give to me. I'm walking. This worn out cross hanging around my neck, the things you say when your life's a wreck. I'm walking. I'm a man of peace, just let me be. It's hell or jail if you mess with me. I'm walking. A foster home was a life for me. I took from them, they took from me. Lake Waccamaw is in my head, and I'm lying here on this makeshift bed. Halfway house, picture I'd be, is all my daddy could give to me. I'm walking. This worn out cross hanging around my neck, the things you say when your life's a wreck. I'm walking. I'm a man of peace, just let me be. It's hell or jail if you mess with me. I'm walking. Son, he don't know me. I gotta lose these streets before I let him see this worn out cross and the picture ID and this makeshift tent that's been a home to me. Halfway house, picture ID is all my daddy could give to me. I'm walking. This worn out cross hanging around my neck, the things you say when your life's a wreck. I'm walking. I'm a man of peace, just let me be. It's hell or jail. song?
Oh, I love it. You know, like I say, actually, I got to get my CD player working. When I get down and out, that's when I listen to it. Or either when I get to thinking of my sons, I like, well, this right here, they probably want to know what I've been doing. Because sometimes when I text them, they don't text me. And I'm like, and that's my biggest fear, is having to one day look at them and say, son, this is what I've been doing. This art stuff, you know, all this and that. So I hadn't just been doing nothing. And, you know, they might think it's nothing, but every time I do something, I think of them. And I don't think they realize it. Maybe, you know, I didn't as a kid, so I can't expect them to. But it hurts sometimes when I write them and don't hear from them for 3 days. I'm like, are they mad at me? Well, maybe when they hear this song or see this, they'll see what I'm doing. So
I'm a poem writer. I like to write.
This young lady by the name of Tressa just wrote about being sexually abused and, in general, you know, physically abused for the majority of her life.
But I've been through a lot in my life. I mean, a lot. And I got 2 poems here reflecting some of what I've been through in life. I was just going to keep them for myself and my kids and give them to my kids when they get older. But I got into that writing thing up at IRC, and she says, well, won't you write them down and see where we can go with that? And I'm like, okay. So I wrote them down, and now here I am.
That's where you start.
But the name of it is Reflections. There is a reflection in my eyes as I fight back tears, trying to figure out why I have put up with it all of these years. Innocence just taken away. Struggling to deal with it and be free someday. I tried to tell someone, but no one believes my cries. Just another young girl getting some attention through lies. Suicide had crossed my mind, but I will not go out that way. Thinking, well, maybe if he can't find me, he just won't rape me today.
You know, it's hard to imagine what that might be like, or how do you survive that, or how do you emotionally move on from that, you know, and I guess her way was to put it in her poetry. And I thought it was brave for her to stand up and just read this poem about her experience.
Things got worse and then he beat her some more. She's on her own now, struggling each day. She's getting stronger and will surely find her way. Perfect smile, broken soul. Perfect smile, broken soul. Innocence gone, just take it away. Try to deal and be free someday. She's on her own now, struggling each day. She's getting stronger and will surely find her way. Perfect smile, broken soul. Perfect smile, broken soul. Perfect smile, broken soul.
I'm Ryan. I'm a singer and aspiring musician, and I'm a bit of a writer, an artist. You know, I'm a bit of everything, really. You know, I came here mainly to share a story and see if I could connect with other musicians to kind of get my foot in the door with the industry.
And I met this kid named Ryan Lennon, who had a little dog with him, and he was, I would say, mid to late 20s. I thought he was more like aimless than he was sad, until I realized that I was pretty aimless too for a long time, and I just had a better parachute than he did, and so that was kind of my end to the song. And I didn't end up writing a really sad song. I just wrote a song about a guy who's young and thinks he's got time to waste, you know, and who's kind of displaced. But he's in no big hurry.
Blame it on love, or blame it on fate. There's a bun in the oven, no room on the plate, no room on the plate. So I
but you don't stay long, so I wait.
And the Healing Blues was, for me, a no-brainer. I mean, it was bringing everything I knew to be true as a sociologist and everything I knew how to do in this other life I lead as a musician into one neat, tidy package that actually made demonstrable difference with the people that we were working for, which is so rare. It's not just homeless people anymore, and it's not just people anymore. It's people that are their neighbors, members of their community who have a name whose story you now know because you're singing it. And I can't really remember if there was any other time in my professional career as an academic where something had that profound and emotional impact on me.
He said, I just moved into my new apartment, so. Yeah. Chris had been living in the homeless shelter all this week, so he's wanting to get back to school in January. So good for you, Chris. Thanks again to Ted and Dave. Give it up for all the folks that have put this thing together. Always remember, God help us all. Just a boy, Daddy was in prison, I didn't have much choice. I left school way too early, I got a job, helped my mom. I was praying for a miracle, God help us all. We were staying with my uncle up in Baltimore. Somebody got murdered, then we had to go. I wandered back to Reedsville without any plan. I was praying for a miracle.
Even though I was working with Chris's words, when I finally listened to the song in its finished state, I realized I was writing as much about myself as I was about her. And that just seemed to create a bond. Just about a year ago, my partner and I, he and I lost our home to a flood. And it was, if we hadn't had friends and family and resources, we very well might have been in the same place. Because the way that situation happened, it put us very close, and that was a time where reality, talk about reality hitting you. You realize that you can have a job, you can have all these things going on in your life, but a series of events can change that dramatically.
At this stage of my life, music is a powerful force, but I don't pick it up unless I'm inspired. The stories of these two women absolutely did. So now I keep with the project because I'm inspired by what it can do to give a voice to people who are rarely heard and to shine a light on people who are hardly ever seen. If there's another follow-up record to be made, I'll be there.
And Charlotte, the vocalist I work with, and the person who wrote the lyrics with, or took Kim's lyrics and turned them into a song, took a real interest in her and spent, a great deal of time, energy, and trying to get her okay because of the pregnancy that she was experiencing.
When I met her at the concert last fall, she was pregnant, and I was very moved that she was on the front row of the concert, and she was crying during the whole performance. It was very powerful for me to be able to deliver that, knowing that she was so moved and had not heard the song before. After that, our band decided that at Christmas time and when the baby was due, that we would put together a basket of hope with some items for the baby, items for her, just really trying to let her know that we still were thinking of her and wishing for good things and hoping that her life will turn.
This song is for Chris. Hi, Chris. Kim Thoré, thank you for these fine lyrics. Was there a time way back when? Tell me I had a chance then. Riding the bus, I framed my window. Buildings abandoned, ain't it so? One day after another, me and him, thinking about a life that might have been. They're just wishes in the rain. I did all the wrong things, don't you know? All this pain inside has nowhere to go. Today, tomorrow, yesterday ain't right. Close my eyes, I die a little every night.
I didn't know my words could touch somebody like that. I just thought they were sentences on a page. And they were so much more. They really were. But it was an honor, to be a part of the project, but it was especially an honor to give Chris a bigger voice, to give her a voice outside of her life right now, and hoping that that voice carries through to a better place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm just gonna cry.
So to the homeless community of Greensboro, I'd like to say, we see you, we hear your stories, and we're here to support you. Let's give them a hand.
From the city, looking to leave my troubles behind. Went to Virginia, crossing state lines. I can run, I can hide, but I can't get away from what's inside. Pushed on to Carolina, hoping to ease my pain. But at every crossroad, I traded hope for shame. I can run, I can hide, but I can't get away from what's inside. Thought I'd take my chances with my circumstances, but there's only so far south I can go. Trouble is waiting there, trying to wreck my plans. Don't wanna run, don't wanna hide, I gotta change what's inside. Thought I'd take my chances with my circumstances.